Hey, this is part two of the House Representatives. And because the other one was going really long, and I figured it needed a part two. So again, this is my website. For all you people that tell your parents that they don't know where it is, it's mrkelly.org, and the remote learning stuff is in order on here. I don't know what it looks like in Google Classroom, so I don't know how easy it is to follow along. Again, the due dates that I have on things, it's just trying to give you time to get stuff done. And it also allows me to be able to kind of move on because I'm still correcting stuff from the beginning. And for those of you who just got on board, which is there's a few of you, there's a handful of you that just finally signed up. You, you should do all this stuff just so that you kind of get used to how it works because it's kind of easy in the beginning, and this is where it starts to get real. Um, and that way, when you're doing the Google quiz things, you know what I'm looking for. One word answers don't cut it. I put a lot of energy into it, and you're supposed to be doing like basically half a day worth of work, and there's 110 of you out there that I'm correcting. It'd be a lot easier if I didn't ask you for anything but one word answers. But again, I don't want you going into the high school with a gigantic disadvantage because of this thing happening. There's nothing we can do. This is what happened, and I don't know when it's going to end. If it's going to end this school year, I feel horrible about it. I really liked goofing around with you guys, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, kind of a thing. And I think back on my dad went to high school during World War II. Probably stunk. Probably wasn't as great a high school experience as it was after World War II or before World War II. But it probably made my dad who he is, who he was. So we'll have stories to tell after this is over. Anyway, let's get into this. That's not where I'm supposed to be. Don't look at that. Everything is like it's like a well-oiled machine. I've never even used Google Slides before. This is new to me, even this, because my slides were all smartboard slides and they don't work on this computer. But anyway, we did this yesterday. This was really the focus. We were doing the facts about the House of Representatives, what I kind of wanted you to know. When this is over, I think I'm going to share this slideshow with you so you can look at it and have it and click on things and whatever. One thing I do want to say before I get started in today's is that I'm going to teach the Constitution, and I'm not going to teach politics. I mean, there's Democrats and there's Republicans, and the country is wicked divided. And I'm not going to get into right or wrong answers. Who's right, who's wrong, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. The answer pretty much is in between. But I want to teach the Constitution to you and let you eventually grow to make your own decisions about which party you support, which people you support. The person who taught me everything I know about politics was my dad, and he was an independent, and he always was, and he went to his deathbed thinking that being an independent was better, voting for the person, not the party. It's very George Washington-ish and John Adams-ish. But you don't know that much about the government yet. And it's like me. I don't know much about soccer, but it would be like me, saying that so-and-so is a great soccer player just because my dad told me he is. Uh, Make up your own mind, learn about this stuff, learn what's good and bad, and learn about things that you care about, and make up your own mind. But just know that I'm not going to play politics with this. So when I say nice things about Nancy Pelosi, and you hear on TV horrible things about her because it's political, I'll also say nice things about Donald Trump. I'm just going to paint the picture as the Constitution paints it. All right, enough of that. All right, so House of Representatives. Again, I think it's kind of cool. This picture here shows the scoreboard kind of lit up. So when they go and vote, everyone knows how you voted in the House of Representatives. this House of Representatives. It looks like a real full room. You don't really see it like this unless there's like a State of the Union going on, or a foreign president or something. So when the Pope came and spoke, and they have a joint session, and the Senate and the House all get into the House of Representatives room, and there's people in the galleries up here, and that kind of stuff. But I can use the pointer. This has got a cool pointer. It's got a little flashy stuff. So it's usually not this crowded. You saw yesterday with this stuff. All right, so who's our representative? If you don't know, and some of my classes already talked about this, you go to the website here. It's got a lot of good information. O2769. I do practice this before I actually, you wouldn't know that I practice it. All right, so here's our representative from our district. It's Joe Kennedy. He is he's the grandson of Bobby Kennedy, and so his grand uncle is John F. Kennedy, the president. It's the Kennedy family from Massachusetts. It's a powerful family, and they're very political. And he's not running for re-election. So the election that's coming up, because they're up for election every 2 years, there's a whole bunch of people scrambling to get it. And it's going to be a mess too because of this whole COVID stuff. And but there's a bunch of people running to be the next representative to our district, and he's running for Senate against another Democrat. He's a Democrat, and he's running against Ed Markey. But this is his website. It's kind of cool because you can get a lot of information from his website. You can follow him on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Tells you what he's doing, what he's been doing, his office locations. So he's got a couple of offices because we're in such a weird looking district. It's so long that he's got one up near Boston. And he's got one in Attleboro. And you can call there and you can schedule to like actually go see him, probably not during this COVID thing, but he's your representative as much as he's mine. Just because you can't vote yet, they represent every human being they don't represent your dog or your cat, probably. Winston, don't tell Winston that. He's in the other room. They represent you. They're supposed to represent you, even if you can't vote. And 50% of the people that can vote don't vote anyway, and he still represents them. So you can go and talk to them. They'll listen to you. They work for you. And he's got a Washington, D.C. office. He's got to have a Washington, D.C. office. That's where he worked from. Right? So that's pretty much it. That's who our rep is. Let's get rid of that. All right. What district are we in? Massachusetts has 9 districts, and he is here's the 9 districts. This thing is lightning speed. It's almost like we're in school. We're in the 4th district, right? This is the 4th district. This is ours. You can see this is the 1st district, 2nd district, the 3rd district, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. The 7th is pretty much Boston. It's like this little one. 8 and 9, right? Again, the district size doesn't really tell you much because once it's by population and the people that are in it. So I'm supposed to be scrolling somewhere or something. I don't know. No, I'm going to be going here. Our representatives. These are the representatives from Massachusetts, 4th district. Yes, he's a redhead. And this guy looks surprised. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's 1st district. You're surprised he's first. Seth Moulton, I think he ran for president, and this last time. He's a war hero from Iraq and stuff. So he's an up-and-coming star, I think. Yeah, all right. So that's it. And get out of there. You can't. You're in the way. I can't move the slide. Well-oiled machine. All right, Speaker of the House. I love teaching about Speaker of the House because the speakers are always like these incredible people. You've got to be someone special to be Speaker of the House because you're picked by your colleagues. It's like the Prime Minister in England. They're picked by the people who are elected. And it's like herding cats. It's a very, very tough job. And in my years of teaching, I've always enjoyed teaching about the Speaker of the House because they tend to be fascinating people. You've got to be like really brilliant, smart. You've got to be charming, persuasive. You've got to be tough. You got to have thick skin to be Speaker of the House, and it produces some of the most incredible politicians in American history, from Henry Clay to the recent ones that I've taught. I remember, like, I loved teaching John Boehner. He was the speaker from 2011 to 2015. Awesome story. The guy was he was first elected to Congress from Ohio in 1984, and he was from a real humble family, like probably lower middle class, maybe probably lower, pretty poor. He was the second of 12 children, and he lived in a 2-bedroom house. So that must have been fun. With one bathroom. So that was his family owned a bar, and they ran the bar/restaurant kind of pub. And he started working there, like dishwashing and cleaning, from age 8, all the way through college. And he was an incredible guy. I mean, he was just he was a Republican. He was smart, articulate, and had a lot of empathy for people. The next one that I taught was from 2015 to 2019 was Paul Ryan. Paul Ryan was like, he had this like little bit of nobility behind him. He was kind of like the person who did not want to be speaker. John Boehner left because he felt the Republican Party was moving away from him, and so he decided not to run for re-election. And the Republicans still controlled the House, so they got to pick a new speaker. And the word came out that they wanted Paul Ryan because he was pretty polished, he was brilliant, but he didn't want it. He was all about family. The story goes that he was from Wisconsin, and his father was an alcoholic, and his family was a mess. And when he was 16 years old, he came home to found his father dead. His father was only 55 years old. He had a heart attack, but he was a really bad alcoholic. Paul Ryan kind of took over the reins and helped to raise the family. And family meant everything to him. He got married. He had like 3 kids. Family was everything. And he got into politics because he cared about issues. He wasn't like born to be a politician. And as a matter of fact, a lot of these guys, when they live back in, like, he lived back in Wisconsin, but they have to be in Washington. Like, they generally are there when they're in session 4 days of a week. And a lot of them fly out like on a Thursday, and then they come back on a Monday. But they have to live in Washington, D.C. So what they do is it's almost like a dorm thing. They'll all chip in and get an apartment, and there'll be like 4 politicians living there together. He didn't want any part of that. So he would sleep in his office, in like one of those office buildings, on a cot. And he would get up in the morning and he'd go to the gym. He was a gym nut, like really healthy, probably the most healthy speaker we ever had in American history. He worked out, and then he would go shower, shave, and get ready for the day. It must have been so weird to see the Speaker of the House at your gym putting on his suit and leaving every day, and that was Paul Ryan because he wanted to be with his family. So when the speakership came up, and he seemed to be the perfect fit for the speakership, he felt that it was going to cause him to spend too much time away from his family, because the speaker becomes like the leader of the party in the House, and they have to go around the country fundraising and helping their party get elected. And so they hold on to power. They held on to the majority. They made a deal with him, and that's basically made a deal that he would not have to do that. That he could just be in Wisconsin and Washington, D.C. and be speaker that way. And then he took the speakership. He left in 2019, didn't run for re-election. It was taking too much time away from his kids. His kids were little at that time. And then Nancy Pelosi had been the leader of the Democratic before, and she got elected Speaker again. So she's the first woman ever to be elected Speaker of the House. And she's served 2 different terms. She was before John Boehner, and then the Republicans held the majority from 2011 to 2019, and then she took over in 2019. All right. So, what is the Speaker of the House?
Since the United States was founded.
Oops, I didn't mean that. Come on. Like a well-oiled machine.
Since the United States was founded, over 50.
Oh, this is fun. No internet. I've lost the internet. All right, good. Does anyone else having issues like this at home?
Since the United States was founded, over 50 individuals have. Since the United States was founded, over 50 individuals have served as Speaker of the House, the leading position in the U.S. House of Representatives and third in line for the President of the United States. Speakers of the House have served for as long as 17 years and as little as 1 day. But how does someone become the Speaker of the House? And what do they do? There's actually very little guidance about the position included in the Constitution, and over the years, the position has evolved. Every 2 years, at the beginning of every new Congress, or when the speakership becomes vacant, the Republicans and Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives will nominate a member of their respective party for the position of Speaker. At that point, every member of the House of Representatives is called on to vote for one of the 2 nominees, usually choosing the candidate of their own party. However, members are not forced to vote for either candidate and are allowed to abstain or cast their vote for someone else altogether, even if they're not an elected official. Members continue to vote until one of the candidates receives a majority. The last time repeated votes were necessary was 1923, when 9 roll call votes were taken. When the Speaker is elected, they become the head of the U.S. House of Representatives and are tasked with a wide range of duties that give them a lot of power over the lawmaking process, including appointing members to committee posts, determining which bills get to be debated and voted on, keeping decorum in the House chamber, and a number of other procedural and administrative responsibilities. Most importantly, they are a driving force behind new public policy. To learn more about the federal government and how it operates, visit informationstation.org.
Good. All right, that was smooth, wasn't it? Anyway, so that's what the Speaker is. They're picked by their colleagues. It's a very powerful position. You'll see it when we do Bill to the Law, how powerful it is, how they pick the people who are going to be the chairs of every committee. Committees where all the action happens with bills. They study the bills and they recommend to the floor and they argue whether they should pass or not. I mean, and the Speaker controls who runs those committees. So pretty much things aren't going to get done if the Speaker doesn't, won't want it to be done. And they also control the floor. They control running the floor of the House. So they're third in line to the presidency. That's a confusing statement, but this website is kind of cool. I found it, and it kind of shows you. So the president of the United States is Donald Trump, right? And if anything should happen to him, then the vice president would take over. They're first in line. Second in line, the presidency. I guess it depends on how you think of it, right? So if something happened to both of them, then it goes to Nancy Pelosi, who's the Speaker of the House. If something happened to the 3 of them, then it goes to the Senate pro tempore, which is really weird, which I'll talk about when we do the Senate. Because remember, the person in the Founding Fathers' days that ran the Senate was the vice president. So the Senate pro tempore was someone they kind of picked in the Senate. And then it goes to the cabinet, and it goes into the cabinet in the order that the position was created in the Constitution and added later. So it goes Secretary of State, and then it goes Secretary of Treasury, then it goes Secretary of Defense, and then it goes the Attorney General, and then it goes to the Interior, agriculture. Look at this guy is in a field. Good for him. I mean, I don't even know who he is. Purdue. Is he a chicken person? And he's in a field. And then the Secretary of Commerce, and the Secretary of Labor, and Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development. I don't know why this one's not Transportation, which is Mitch McConnell's wife, Secretary of Energy, Secretary of Education, Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Homeland Security. Right, so that's the newest one. That was only added after 9/11. That cabinet position. So he's 18th in line, I guess. Kind of a weird thing. All right, here's the biography of who is Nancy Pelosi, and this was already giving me trouble earlier. So let's see if it's after that last little thing, if this one is going to give me a little trouble, because it probably should, right? Oh, I don't have the volume on.
When people ask me, isn't it exciting to be on the floor of the House and be a member of Congress? I'd say it's wonderful, but it's nothing like having a newborn baby. My greatest accomplishment is my family, and I see my role in politics as an extension of my role as a mother. When I was born, my father was in Congress. He represented Maryland. Then when I was in first grade, he became the mayor of Baltimore. So it was really the only life we knew. I was never raised in a way that I would be running for public office. It didn't interest me. When I graduated from college, I got married, had 5 children in 6 years. So that was my life. And then when the children were grown, the opportunity to run for Congress came along. I had volunteered in politics for a number of years. I went to my youngest daughter, who would be a senior in high school, Alexandra. I said, Alexandra, Mommy has a chance to run for Congress. If it's okay with you, I don't know if I'll win, but I'll take a chance and run. To which she said, Mother, get a life. When I ran for leadership, they would say things like, who said she could run? As if I needed anybody's permission.
Nancy Pelosi of the state of California is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 110th Congress, having received the majority of the votes cast.
I believe that there's nothing more wholesome to the political process than the increased political participation of women. Because women bring something very special to whatever we do. And a certain intuition, a certain dedication, a certain efficiency. And I always say the same thing, know your power. Don't let anybody trivialize how you have spent your years. All of them have contributed to making a very unique and special person who can make a very unique and special contribution to our country. America needs you.
That's the most powerful position that any woman has ever held in American politics. It's the second most powerful position in the country, next to the President of the United States. They kind of control the purse strings of our country, and she was first elected to Congress in 1987. She first became Speaker in 2007, and in 2011, the Republicans took control of the House. And so they appointed John Boehner. You want a Republican to lead, you don't want a Democrat leading you. So she became the minority leader. She led the Democrats during those 8 years that the Republicans controlled the House of Representatives. And then when the Democrats took it back 2 years ago, she was reelected to be Speaker of the House again. She's 80 years old, so she's not as young as she looks. And she kind of entered politics late, but she's been a political beast her entire life. Her dad was a congressman and then a mayor of Baltimore, She knew all about canvassing and about politics. She met John F. Kennedy when she was in high school, and that's this picture. And she's definitely a family person, and but really brilliant, politically savage, not to be underestimated. Her and Donald Trump have gotten into it because I think he thought that she was just a regular politician. She's one of the greats. She's one of the most skilled politicians that I've seen in my lifetime. Um, and I think that there's still that prejudice. I mean, it's the 100th year anniversary of women getting the right to vote, and there's still that prejudice towards women. This last Congress, this election, 102 women were elected to the House of Representatives, Republicans and Democrats. This is what the makeup looked like. 51% of people that live in the United States are women. 51% of the people that live in the United States are women. But yet, out of 435 members of Congress, the record of women that we've had in the House of Representatives is 102. There's something wrong with that picture. And again, I know I did this with some of the classes, but think about the prejudice towards women and the thought that women shouldn't be in charge of certain things. And it's evident. You look across the cafeteria back when we were in school, and picture it and look me in the eye and tell me that none of those girls are as capable of doing work and doing well and being smart as the boys are. And I know it's kind of unfair to say that, but most of the girls in 8th grade are more mature, and they tend to be taking their education a lot more seriously. But something happens. Something happens when you get to high school. Girls tend to coast and let the boys catch up. And as they get more mature, and I'm not trying to put down the boys. I was an immature boy in middle school and probably my freshman and sophomore year in high school. But I have 2 sisters, and both of my sisters are smarter than I am. Both of my sisters were better students than I was. But in my junior and senior year in high school, I started working hard and I started catching up. I went to college, straight A student in college, and I ended up with the career that I chose and the life I wanted more than my 2 sisters, and that's not fair. They were smarter than I was, and they coasted. They tried to impress the boy, and I think there's pressure on girls not to be as intelligent or as powerful because it intimidates the cute guy, and so they downplay their intelligence, and that's a shame. So that's my little lecture to the girls out there, to be who you are and be proud. I mean, one of the things that really moved me was that this last State of the Union, because it's the 100th year anniversary of the amendment to the Constitution that gave women the right to vote. A lot of the women wore white. You can see this chunk of women out here wearing white. The State of the Union, you have the senators and congressmen. You have this justices of the Supreme Court up here, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the entire cabinet here. But these women all wore white in tribute to the women who fought for women's right to vote, because the suffragettes would wear white when they marched in the streets. That was their color. So it was definitely on purpose that they were wearing white. And Melania Trump, who was in the balcony, you can't see her in the picture, is also wearing white. She got the memo. Not all the women got the memo. I mean, there's some that aren't wearing white, but if they did know, it's kind of like me. I usually don't know that it's like blue day at Beckwith until the morning and it's too late, But if they did know, they wore white. And it was moving, a tribute to those women. All right. So anyway, her congressional website, because she does represent a district, just like Joe Kennedy, our congressman, represents a district. She represents a district in San Francisco, the city of San Francisco. She fell in love with this guy in college and she married him. He is a wicked successful businessman, multi-millionaire. And she had a family and was involved in politics. She was always involved in politics in California and stuff. And then finally, like you said in that video, that when her oldest daughter was a senior, she asked if she could run for Congress because she always wanted to. And the daughter was like, geez, you always should have, And so this is her website, just like his website, and it shows her Washington office and her San Francisco office. She only has to have one because San Francisco is her district is really small because San Francisco is one of the biggest cities in the United States. She also has a speaker website, which is because she's Speaker of the House, she has that website. And this is when she won re-election to speakership. She brought all these kids in with her, part of a program that she was running. So it gives you information about her and stuff and what she's working on. She's pushing. She's a tough cookie. She doesn't look like she's 80, I don't think. All right, the minority leader. The Republicans are in the minority in the House of Representatives, but they also have a leader. And if in this election in November, the Republicans win control of the House, more than likely this guy, Kevin McCarthy, will become the Speaker of the House. So they have, but as a minority leader, he deals with Nancy Pelosi a lot and works with her, and he's the leader of the Republicans in the House. This is what he looks like. This is his website. He's also from California, and it's a pretty impressive website. There he is. He's in Statuary Hall there. And I don't know a lot about him. I don't know his biography and stuff, but from what I've heard about him, he's a smart guy. You got to kind of have the skills. If you're the minority leader, you're capable of being the Speaker of the House. So, yeah. All right. I'm going to end this today here. And I know you just want to learn more, but we're going to stop here. I'm going to give you a little quiz thing. And then the next lesson, I keep on saying tomorrow, but it may not be tomorrow. We have Patriots Day coming up. Monday is off for you guys. And the next one's going to be about gerrymandering. Here's the thing. I'm going to put a question on this quiz asking you if you know what Patriots Day is, why we have Monday off, and why it would have been our April vacation if we had April vacation, but we don't have April vacation anymore. But what is that day? What happened on, what happened on April 19th, 1775. That is Patriots Day in Massachusetts. It's a day off. It's fantastic. All right, guys, stay safe. Be good. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Send it through my email. Talk to me through Google Classroom. It comes through on my phone. It's pretty easy for me to answer them. There was a question that came up while I was doing this video. I couldn't answer it, but all right. Have a good one.